Welcome to the People Sports Podcast. I am Mark Titus. She is Charlotte Wilder, and her hair is very, very, very wet. Charlotte,
yeah.
What's going? I'm usually the one with the wet hair. I'm usually the look like a pro wrestler. What is going on here?
Well, today I look like a really, if a pro wrestler had hair this long that was this wet, I'd be like, that's just gross. So I apologize to everybody who's watching this on YouTube, which you should be. But we have a lot of hair news on the pod. Mark got a haircut.
I did,
which you can only see if you go to any of our social channels.
Right. I got the hair. It's a little shorter than I wanted it, to be honest. I gave my barber very contradictory directions.
Can you tell the people what you told your barber?
Yeah, so I had very long hair. I hadn't gotten cut since March 4th. I went back and looked it up. March 4th, 2020 was the last time I got a haircut of any kind. I wasn't trimming it along the way. I wasn't grooming it really, other than washing it and combing it. That was about it.
Yep.
And then, the pandemic, it's not over, but for all intents and purposes, it feels like we here in America have kind of beat this thing. So I was like, all right, and that was the whole impetus behind growing it out, was that I was going to just ride out the whole pandemic. So I was like, all right, it's time to get it cut. I like the long hair though, so I'm going to keep it long. But I want it shorter. And that's pretty much exactly what I told my barber. He's like, so what do you want here? And I was like, well, I gotta be honest. I dig the long hair. Cause I used to do, when I would go get my hair cut, I used to do like the tight fade, like the classic military,
I'm familiar. Like,
yeah. I was like, I don't want that. Keep the long hair. I dig the long hair. He's like, so what do you want? And I was like, well, but I just want it shorter. He's like, so you want it short or do you want it long? And I was like, yes, you got it. And then when the dust settled, he gave me the season 3 Jim Halpert, I think, or the season 4. That's what he gave me. Like when Jim shows up at the office and he doesn't have the mop top anymore. That's what I got going on now. So
okay, so first of all, that's you. I think it doesn't look dopey like Jim Halpert looks. So don't let that go to your head. But I think it's a good haircut. Props to your bar. Do you remember that episode when we talked about the hardest jobs in sports? And I said that Mark Davis's barber has the hardest job in sports. Yeah. You basically just gave your barber the hardest job in sports because you were like, I'm giving you the most vague, contradictory instructions and expect you to give me exactly what I want. And in that vein, I think he got pretty close.
He got close. It's fine. I wanted it longer. I still wanted the flow coming down the back.
I see.
But it doesn't
here's
matter.
The thing,
It'll grow
back.
It'll grow back. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Hair.
It's just hair. It's not that
Although
big
I do have nightmares that someone cuts my ponytail off, so.
That's your nightmare?
Yeah, it's really messed up. I don't know what yeah. Although last night I dreamt that I got 15 bowls of Chipotle, so no one wants to hear you talk about your dreams, but that one was
15 bowls of Chipotle.
Yeah, they're like, Charlotte, and I was like, what?
Here's a question. Can you sue somebody if say you fell asleep, you came over to my house to watch the big game, and then you doze off or something happens and I notice you're asleep in the recliner and I'm like, I'm gonna pull a classic zinger here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cut
off my ponytail?
I'm gonna cut off her ponytail, just make her hair really short. Do you have legal recourse at that point?
I think that becomes like mafia rules. Like I take matters into my own hands and I make your life a living hell for cutting off my ponytail because it's outside the system of justice. I think it is.
Even though I think it is. I think there's a loophole like in the justice system where like I don't think there's a charge.
I could possibly sue you for cutting off my ponytail.
Yeah, what do you charge me with? Is it assault? Is it? I don't know.
You could make an argument. You could make an argument that it was assault. Because if you cut off my arm, I'd be like, that's definitely assault.
Yeah. It's the same thing.
So is hair like corporations? Is hair a person?
Is hair a person?
That's what it all comes down to.
peoplesportspodcast@gmail.com. Is hair a person? Listen, in more hair news, there's a man by the name of Aaron Rodgers who is growing his hair out as well, and he's doing so on the island of. Damn, I wish I knew. I didn't actually. I just started the sentence and I didn't know. The state of Hawaii. The islands of Hawaii. The islands. I don't know which one he's on, but Aaron Rodgers is providing content for this podcast as only he can, and you're fired up about it, Charlotte.
Oh, man.
I love when you get excited about every one of these shows, if we're being honest, but like anytime there's an Aaron Rodgers,
the
Shailene
Leslie
Woodley
Knope
update.
of sports media. You can just say it.
You text me like an hour before every show, and you're like, "I'm so excited for today." And I'm like, "Yeah, Charlotte,
Have I told you how my roommate when we were just out of college, she's my best friend, Hillary. Shout out Hillary. I love her dearly, and we lived together, for 2 years after college, 2 or 3 years after college, and she she once said to me, she was like, Shar, I just want you to know, like, just because I don't seem as excited as you are when I come home from work as you are to see me, it doesn't mean I'm not as excited to see you.
Yeah.
I just express it differently. Like, truly, what I'm like a golden retriever.
You are.
I'm
yeah.
but like an occasionally really moody golden retriever. Like, it makes zero sense. But she was like, I just want you to know that. And so I feel like we have that dynamic on this podcast.
Well, good for you. I love golden retrievers, so it works out well.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway,
so yes, I'm thrilled about this, Mark, because I truly feel that the content gods have smiled upon us today, because I saw, first of all, we've got amazing Bryson DeChambeau, Brooks Koepka beef that we're going to get into. We've got Aaron Rodgers and Shailene Woodley on vacation with the actor Miles Teller and his wife, Keleigh Teller, who spells her name Keleigh.
Wow.
She's
not getting any love. Is she not famous? Is that it?
I don't know.
I just keep seeing that they say, because like I was so confused because I kept seeing all these headlines about how Aaron and Shailene Woodley are hanging out with Miles Teller. I was like, is Miles Teller just third wheeling on like Aaron Rodgers and Shailene Woodley on like they're on like a pre-honeymoon, by the way, is what it feels like. It's like they're just in Hawaii. Like they're not married yet, but they're on a honeymoon anyway. And then Miles Teller's just along for the ride. And I'm like, what's going on here? You're
like, why are they there? Why are they there? Also, what has Miles Teller been in since Whiplash?
I don't know. Do you need to be anything else after that movie?
No,
what a
I guess
great
not.
movie.
But I've looked her up. Her name was Keleigh Sperry. She's a model. Okay. Well, I mean, she looks like a model. They all look amazing. Did you see that picture of them on a waterfall posing? And I was like, these are just like perfectly cut people.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Like, look at that. Are you kidding me?
People were killing Aaron for like not being, I don't know, for not. I mean, he's a professional athlete. The standard for professional athlete bodies is, it's too much. We need to.
Too much. Way too much. We got to normalize the dad bod.
We got it. Like Myles Garrett has ruined everything. Like people see video of Myles Garrett like lifting weights, and they're like, "Yeah, that's what every pro athlete should look like." And then you see Aaron
Donald
Rodgers.
has done no one any favors.
Yeah.
You know what, Mark?
Aaron Rodgers looks great, and everyone's like, "I don't get it. I don't see a six pack, and I don't think he can bench 405 pounds. So he must be."
We need to normalize the mid-range jumper, and we also need to normalize dad strength, because I think what Aaron is exhibiting, he looks good. He looks fun. Like, come on, everybody. I don't know. So anyway, we'll get to that. That happens. And then I was looking at Twitter and I see a tweet that says the match. You've got Phil Mickelson and Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers and Bryson DeChambeau. And I was like, my brain exploded. I was like, this is all of the things that we talk about, that I obsess about, in one news cycle. And honestly, my little brain is having a hard time keeping all of this.
It's like the match was made. It was tailor-made for us.
Yes.
For the two of us. Excuse me. I think the only way it gets better is if Phil is not in it and you just put in like Yosemite Sam or Babe Ruth's dead wife. Because Phil, we love Phil on this program, but we don't spend a ton of time talking about it. We haven't really like obsessed over Phil. Like we have Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and Bryson DeChambeau.
Who could they have paired with? Like what golfer?
I mean, Brooks is the obvious thing, but we haven't really talked much about Brooks. We're going to today.
Yeah,
we're definitely going to today. Who else? Like what other golf situation? I don't know.
I'm trying to think. I feel like you've nailed it with Rosenbaum or, Babe Ruth's dead. Helen Ruth.
Bob Baffert.
There it is. There it is. There it is. My hair is just making my t-shirt extremely wet.
This is a struggle. This is so funny.
Also, my t-shirt I'm wearing, do you see Patrick Ewing behind me as always? Yeah. I'm wearing a Patrick Ewing t-shirt in honor of the Knicks tonight.
Classic. Just as Boston goes down 0-2, just the classic pivot to, what are you going to do tonight when the Knicks lose and they're down 0-2 as well?
I don't know, Mark. I'm trying not to think about that yet. I'll probably drink. If we're being
Charlotte's
honest.
gonna wait until Game 6 of the NBA Finals to decide who her NBA team is this year.
I'm gonna be a huge Nets fan. Just I'm gonna shit on the Nets the whole playoffs, and then I'm gonna be a massive Nets fan.
Yeah. Or you're gonna start tweets with, as a New Yorker, this is great for the city. As a Brooklynite, I'm so excited to.
I told my mom the other day, she was asking me about, she was like, I follow sports because of you. And I was like, that is really sweet. She was like, I try to know some things, but I don't know that much. She was like, for example, I didn't know it was basketball time until I saw your podcast tweeting about it or something. And I was like, oh yes, it is basketball time.
It's basketball time.
She was like, did you see the New Yorker? This tells you about, but she was like, did you see the New Yorker cover of the Knicks and the Nets? And I was like, I did see that. And she was like, I said, they're pretty good. They're both in the playoffs. And she was like, okay, that's good. That's something to know when I talk about it with other people. And I was like, hey, here's what you can say. You can say, regardless of how you feel about the Nets, this is great for New York. This is great for basketball. And she just goes, isn't that like such a cliche? And I was like, yeah, okay, I'm sorry that you're too smart for sports media.
She's even burnt out by sports media and she doesn't even consume it.
She was like, are you kidding me? People say that?
Yeah. Like, Mom, do you like Jordan or LeBron more? And she's like, ugh, that's so trite.
Seriously.
Like, what? You've never even thought about it, Mom. I've never once heard your thoughts. She's like, no, I don't. No, it's too much.
She's like, not interesting.
If it is, I just realized if it is Lakers Nets finals, which is what the Vegas odds makers believe is supposed to happen in these playoffs, that's house divided on this podcast. You are the Brooklyn faction. I am the Lakers are famously the Marina Del Rey Lakers.
Yeah.
So,
That's true.
there are a lot of Lakers. I was told there are a lot of Lakers that live around here there's an apartment complex down the way.
Really?
They live in Marina Del Rey, but it's not the ones it's always like I was told it's always the Lakers that like are thinking that they're going to get traded. LeBron, they're the guys that like LeBron floats their names as like we're going to get rid of these guys.
It's Kuzma, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Kyle Kuzma, Alex Caruso, KCP, Lonzo. I think Lonzo used to live over there. Like Julius Randle, that was where he lived. All these guys that you got to get rid of them so you can.
I think I know the building.
LeBron.
I think you pointed those out to me.
Yeah.
I think I know what you're talking about. That's wow.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
yeah, that is
basketball
going to
time,
be.
as your mom said. I love that phrase. I need that on a T-shirt. It's basketball time.
The Des Moines Yacht Club on the back. It's basketball time. There it is.
All right, so where do we want to start here? Aaron Rodgers, Shailene Woodley. Let's just start there because I think the meat and potatoes of this show is going to be Bryson, DeChambeau, Brooks Koepka. I don't know who's the meat and who's the potatoes, but
they're both the potatoes.
They're both the potatoes. But the appetizer, as it frequently is on this show, is an update of Aaron Rodgers and Shailene Woodley. We've kind of hit the bullet points already. They're in Hawaii. They're loving life. You are the relationship expert of this relationship, I guess. What else do the people need to know? What's going on?
Mark, I think you actually nailed it on Monday when you said Aaron Rodgers is happy.
I think he's the happiest he's ever been in his life.
And I think that's kind of all there is to say about it. I think people are pissed because
and that's why people are pissed.
I do. I think you're right. I mean, as soon as you said that, I've been thinking about that a lot since you said that on our honorable mentions pod, and I was like, holy shit, Mark's right. Like that's what you saw him on. I guess that since our podcast on Monday, he went on Kenny Mayne's last Sports Center, and he said that he wasn't upset with and this will come back to Shailene, don't you worry, people. But he said that he was upset with the organization for its lack of values and sort of lack of the philosophy that he wanted it to have, which was, he was like, an organization isn't the history, it's the people. And he feels, he was like, it's not drafting Jordan Love. I wasn't upset about that. What I've heard sort of from people that I know, not to brag, close to the situation, is that he was upset that they didn't tell him. That he was upset that he was not informed. I've heard that Matt LaFleur didn't want to take Jordan Love. And so everybody just sort of felt like there was this.
Are you reporting this or are you just saying this? There's a difference. Are you
Both.
Reporting? Okay. All right.
I'm saying a rumor that I heard.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's true or not. But like, if you think about it, what he's saying is that he's upset with their lack of he's like, there's a certain way you do things. It sort of reminds me of you, Mark. It's like there are ways you do things. There are ways you treat people. They were not followed. You're welcome. They were not followed in the case of Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. And now he has this new girlfriend fiance, excuse me. And they seem, it started as a joke, my obsession with this relationship. I actually think it seems like they're very happy together. And I'm just very happy for them. And if that's working and he finally has the peace of like, okay, they violated some of my moral code and I'm going to try to go somewhere else. But also like I'm living my best life in the meantime. Good for Aaron.
Yeah, and that is pissing off a lot of people because our understanding of what professional athletes should be is that the only time you can be happy is when you've won the championship and you're raising the trophy over your head and there's confetti showering down on you.
Yep.
And it feels like Aaron Rodgers thought that for the longest time, or thought that that's like the trend. We've said this on the show before. Is Shailene Woodley like unlocked something in him where he's like, oh, I could be even happier if I don't play. Like the happiness of my life is not dictated on whether I won this playoff game or not. I can just go to Hawaii and chase waterfalls with Miles Teller. Like that's fun. Why don't I just do that all the time? Why don't I go to the Derby and wear stupid hats? Why don't I? Is he retiring, Charlotte? He might not even be getting traded. Like is he coming back at all?
Wow, that makes you think, Mark.
For real,
he's acting like a man who's retiring.
Put it this way: if Aaron Rodgers, first of all, I don't think he would announce his retirement. Like I get the feeling that like if we've seen the last of Aaron Rodgers on a football field, it's not like he's going to put out a statement on like August 1st. It's like I've officially retired. I feel like it's just going to like just go and just like life is just moving.
He's
and the
gonna
Packers
ghost
start
the
practice.
NFL.
Yeah, and you're like, where's Aaron? You're like, he's in Hawaii doing his thing. He'll show up. And then like it's like 8 days before the first game, and you're like, okay, he should probably be here by now, right? Has anyone heard from him? No, I don't. I'm sure he'll show up. And then it just kind of, he just ghosts the whole league, and he never says anything. And then like week 7, he says, "Oh yeah, I retired. I thought you guys knew that." Yeah.
He's like, wasn't it obvious from the fact that I didn't show? I think that's right, Mark. I think that there's a very good chance he's just literally riding off into the sunset on rainbows and waterfalls over here. I think also though that like. You're totally right that we've decided that you're only allowed to be happy when you're winning, and you're only allowed to be happy when you're publicly winning. Yes. And the inner peace and inner life
but then if you get too
no
happy,
matter.
If you get too happy, act like you've been there before. Quit shoving it down. Like we get it. You won the champion. Like who cares? Like that's shut up, LeBron. Okay, you won a title.
Right.
We don't care.
Like, okay, we get it, Tom Brady.
Yeah. Boring. I hate this guy. He wins too much. And it's
wow. Yeah, you can't win.
Sports are fun.
You literally can't win.
Yeah.
Like all you can do in sports, even if you win, is lose.
Right.
And so Aaron Rodgers, and I've been thinking about this recently. I've been thinking about like, okay, we act as though in our society, give me a second here.
All right, here we go.
We're
All
just
I need a drink of water.
It's always the next thing. It's like, how are you winning? What are you doing next? How are you growing? How are you blah, blah, blah? And, what if every day you approach as like, how am I going to be happy today instead of in 3 years? And I just feel like that's it. I feel like Aaron Rodgers is prioritizing wellness. I feel like he should start selling, like ginger tea on Instagram and just be like, center yourself every morning. I start with 3 sun salutations. I'm here for it. I love Aaron's vibe.
I do too. I genuinely do too. I remember Kyle Guy. You know who he is. He played basketball at Virginia. You're a big Virginia fan.
My guy.
Your guy, exactly. He came on the show I do with Tate. This was like last year. It was definitely last year, but I forget the timeline. But I'll never forget him mentioning to us. I do forget the context of the question, but I'll never forget him basically like saying in the interview, I'm not trying to be the best ever. I'm not trying to be the GOAT. Like I'm not.
Wow, he said that.
Yeah, he basically, I'm obviously paraphrasing. He basically his attitude was like, I try my best at basketball. I'm gonna make some money doing it. My happiness is like I'm married. I love my family. I love like that's that. Like I'm not trying to be Michael Jordan or LeBron James or Kobe. Like I'm not. That's not. And I remember hearing that, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy that a guy's saying this. But then I was also like, thank God he's saying this. Like, are you kidding me? This is how how many athletes are that way, that they're just like I feel like Aaron Rodgers is that way. He just happens to be maybe the most naturally talented quarterback to ever play. And it's not that he doesn't have the drive or the passion or he's not trying hard. It's just like maybe he just has perspective is what it is, Charlotte.
Wow.
Maybe because the other thing that I go back to a lot is and Tate mentions this when we do shows a lot together too, is Billy Donovan, who is the head coach of the Bulls now. He was the coach at Florida, won back-to-back national titles, 06, 07. And he was quoted as saying like, he always thought when he got into coaching that when he won a title, like the world would change. That like he would now go into rooms and people would like, there would be trumpets, ladies and gentlemen, national champion Billy Donovan, and then he like waved everybody and like that was how it worked. And he said like nothing changed. He's like, my life wasn't any different. I was like, yeah, sure, if I was speaking at an event, they'd put like national champion Billy Donovan or something, but like no one. It didn't matter. And like, and the point was that like, you think in your head that I don't know, the secret to life, that all your happiness, all your hopes and dreams lie in winning that Lombardi trophy.
Yeah.
And maybe they don't. And this is some serious armchair psychology, by the way. But that's what I think about. I don't say that applies to Aaron Rodgers, but like when I'm watching him do this, like that's what I think about things like Billy Donovan saying that. Yeah. I think about like what Kyle Guy told me. I think about like all that, and I'm like, is this just like an awakening he's going through, where he's like, I could win 12 straight Super Bowls, and it's not going to like change who I am or what I value or whatever. So like, why try to even win one more? What if I just retire? What if I just go chase waterfalls? He might be retired, Charlotte.
He very well could. You know what I want? I want more than I've ever wanted anyone to come on this podcast. I want Aaron Rodgers. I want to get philosophical with Aaron Rodgers. Yes. Like I know that that's probably not going to happen, but maybe if we send him this clip and we're like, hey man, we're on your side, dude.
We're on your side.
We get it. And we want to hear I would love to know if he has just found some kind of great meditation app. And he's like, yeah, Headspace changed my life. Yeah. You know, because I think that it's a very real possibility that he just has perspective.
No, it might not even be that. It might literally just be Shailene Woodley saying, so what to him over and over and over. Think about that exercise where Aaron's like, I got to go to practice. And she's like, don't go. He's like, but if I don't go, then I might lose my starting spot. They might just like out of spite let Jordan Love start. So she goes, so what? And he's like, yeah, but if he starts, then that hurts my legacy. And so what? Yeah, but if my legacy, then like right now people think I might be the GOAT, and like, so what? And she just kept saying that over and over, and he's like, whoa.
I love that.
Whoa. Because so what? Yeah, so what?
He's like, oh, you're right. She's like, and every once in a while between the so what, she tosses in and like, yeah, does it make you happy?
Yeah. I think you're right. I think we're onto something.
I mean, shout out Shailene. I think I love Shailene Woodley.
You know what's gonna happen?
I love our fake idea. I love the fantasy life that we have built for Shailene and Aaron. I am very attached to it.
I think far more likely than Aaron coming on the show is Aaron sees this clip and like tweets it and just puts like, you guys couldn't be more off. Like, I can't wait to start OTAs next week. like what the hell is this garbage? That's not me.
He's like, you just straight up made shit up about me for 10 minutes. We're like, no, we just appreciate. He's like, you're projecting.
You guys are out of your minds. Please stop.
The Billy Donovan thing I love because, and I'm like, I've been in therapy since I was 12, Aaron. Okay, relax. The Billy Donovan thing I do love because I feel like I think in this business, I used to think that like the next job that I got would be the one that changed my life, or like the next thing that I did, I'm now on job 7, and and all of the, and like, it's definitely not to say
you're doing great. I want to say that you are doing great. Yeah.
Thank you. That is very kind of you to say. And I guess that is what allows me to say, maybe that's not all of where happiness comes from, because it actually is, and I'm just doing it. I'm kidding. But, I do think that there's a mentality of like, the next thing is going to be the thing that changes my life. And Aaron is like,
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
He's just like, the next thing is going to be Hawaii.
Yeah. The next thing is Hawaii. Yeah.
And like,
isn't there like a study that, that they ask people like, how much money do you need to be happy or something, and like no matter who I forget what I'm butchering it, but it was something like 20,000.
No, it's over a certain threshold.
Yeah, it was over like 75 grand or something. Yeah. That was making you happy. But I thought there was something else where it was like how much money do you need to be happy? And they asked people, and it was always like just a little bit more. And if you made $10 million a year, you're like, if I made $12 million a year, I'd be so happy.
Wow.
And if you made like 100 grand, you're like, if I just made 120, I would be so happy. It would solve all my problems. And again, boy, this has nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers at this point, but maybe
no,
it does.
But it has everything to do with Aaron Rodgers.
I don't think we're trying to say that. Yeah, I'm not saying it is definitely projection. I just think like that's where my mind goes, and whether it applies to Aaron Rodgers or not, right. it is a nice. Aaron Rodgers serves as a good jumping off point to humanize athletes, to think about like that not everybody needs to be wired to be Michael Jordan and like want to punch teammates in the face. And like, I took that personally and I'm going to kill everybody. And like, all I want to do is just rip you to shreds. And then we all nod along. We're like, that's so dope, dude. What a competitor. It's like, it's okay to be like, yeah, I'm really good at football. I love playing it. I love making money. I love trying to win. But you know what else I love? Hawaii.
You know what else I love? Miles Teller and his wife.
Yeah, Miles Teller and his wife. That's what I love. Oh man, fun times.
Great stuff, Mark.
If Aaron Rodgers has in fact taken his last snap on a football field, which like the more I say that, the more I'm like trying to will it into existence somehow, which is really weird.
Because we want to be right. Because all of the things we just said about not being competitive and enjoying your life, that's bullshit. All we want is to win and be the first ones to break the news that Aaron Rodgers is retired.
So if that is in fact what happens, how shocked are you? 1 to 10.
You heard it here first. No, I'm not even thinking about how shocked I am because I'm just thrilled that we called it in May.
We just called it, yeah.
No, I wouldn't. I think I'd be at a. After you said it, I'm just convinced that's going to happen. I'd be at a 1 or 2, man. I'd be like, yeah, Mark said that was going to happen.
Mark said it very convincingly.
Mark convinced me that Aaron Rodgers is done playing football.
I think that's how it kind of works. Like, again, another case that might not have anything to do with Aaron Rodgers, but it just kind of like where my mind goes is thinking about Roy Williams with basketball. Yeah. That is the same deal where he's just like on this track of like win more games, recruit more guys, raise more money for the program. Like he was just doing, and then it feels like Roy Williams, I don't know if this is what happened or not, but as an outsider, it feels like Roy Williams just woke up one day and was like, no.
Yeah.
It's enough. This is enough. And in your head, you think that Roy Williams and Coach K and Jim Boeheim and all these old Bob Huggins, like all these guys who are long in the tooth that are still coaching college basketball, are going to die on the bench, or they're going to coach till they're like the competitor in them, Charlotte. Mm-hmm. Oh, how can you walk away? That fire.
Right.
That's what drives them to be so great. And Roy Williams is like, huh?
Roy Williams is like, I hated my team last year.
Yeah, my team, like, we sucked. This sucks. Like, I don't like this anymore. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go hang out with my wife and, like, enjoy my life.
How many grandkids does Roy Williams have?
I don't know.
Like,
yeah,
I think you're right. And I think that's the kind of thing that we don't expect from people. And then, you know, good for them. God, wouldn't that be great if one day you were just like, bye.
Yeah, I think that's how I'm going to do it, honestly. I just want to, you want to talk about what I'm going to do or stuff that's going to happen. We're going to call our shots on this show. I'm telling you right now, that's when I retire, I will not tweet some personal news in caps, colon, after 36 years of making fart jokes.
Every time.
I've decided to hang it up after an 11. I want to thank everyone who played I'm just going to just like fizzle out and just like not, you're just going to be like, has Titus, like we haven't really, college basketball, it's like halfway through the season. He hasn't really done anything, has he? And
yep.
That's just going to be it. And,
you know what's going to happen is your contract's going to be up. You're not even going to contact anyone about renewing it. Yeah. You're just going to stop showing up to work.
Yeah, the day it's
and delete all your social media accounts.
Yeah.
And you know what the thing is, though, is that will draw the most headlines of anything.
And Charlotte, my contract, I think, is up like next year, so that might happen sooner than you think.
Well, just give me a heads up so I know how often I'm going to have to talk to myself on this podcast. Anyway, that's what we had to say about Aaron and Shailene. They're doing great. They look amazing. Kudos to them.
No, I was going to say, should we pivot from people in love to people who absolutely hate each other's guts?
Yeah. I think we should. I'm so excited.
I'm
so excited. See, okay, so on this podcast, we have talked about Bryson DeChambeau
Yeah.
so much. You have completely changed the way I think about him, which is that he's so obnoxious and so committed to being obnoxious that you begrudgingly respect and almost like him because, you know, it's like galaxy brain feelings about this guy. So then, of course, when the news broke about, I mean, should we tell the people about the video? Should we not assume
I mean, I
it?
assume most people have seen it, but yeah, explain for the people that haven't what happened here.
There's a little backstory here too. I forgot how far back, which only did 2019, but in sports feud time, that's significant. Brooks, Koepka, and Bryson DeChambeau have been beefing with each other. And it started because Brooks said that Bryson played too slowly. Bryson said, say it to my face. So Brooks did. They seemed to work it out. They went on a podcast together. Brooks and they were joking around, both agreed that Brooks could kick Bryson's ass. So then 2020, Brooks is in the ESPN Body Issue, and on a live stream of a video game, Bryson says he doesn't have any abs. So then, Brooks tweets a picture of his 4 majors trophies and writes, "You're right, Bryson. I guess I'm too short of a 6-pack." So then Bryson gets really jacked and has that altercation with the CBS cameraman, and Brooks tweets a gif of Kenny Powers from Eastbound and Down with the chyron on the gif that says Kenny Powers confronts alleged steroid use of Kenny Powers attacking a cameraman. So then Bryson's like, "That's not cool, bro. Like, you can't joke about stuff like that." Like, he says that to Sports Illustrated, and then Brooks is just like, "What?" So this culminated at the PGA Championship over the weekend. Brooks, a video leaked of Brooks doing a stand-up, a TV interview, where the reporter asked him a question about putting. And Brooks is like, "Look, it was really hard out there with the wind. A lot of guys had trouble reading it. I found it very difficult." As he says this, he sort of pauses, and you see him see someone off camera. A second later, Bryson, and I'm assuming it's his caddy, and someone else walk by Brooks. And you can't really hear what Bryson says, but I've seen some things on the internet that are saying he sounds something. It sounds like he's saying, "Then you should have hit it on the right line." To
he
which
said
Brooks,
you got to start on the right line or something like that. Yeah.
Like something to Brooks being like, "Well, then just be better at putting." And Brooks he rolls his eyes and he goes, you guys bleep me out." He goes, "Christ." He goes, "I'm so sick of his bullshit." And I mean, is that not the best thing that's happened in years? I don't know.
He was so disgusted. He was so. What made it so funny was, as you said, the backstory of these two guys. It's such a petty feud. First of all, it's golf. Like who feuds in golf? It's like the most gentlemanly sport. They're not. There's no offense and defense, so you're not going up against a guy really in golf. It's you versus the course, and it's a lonely pursuit of a sport. So like the idea that you could have a rivalry of any kind in golf is insane. Much less one that's like a kind of bro-y with these two guys.
Kind of.
Yeah, but it's golf bro-y. It's like a weird. I don't know. It's like it's not. The dynamics at play are hilarious. And then even when I'm sure there are a lot of golfers that don't like each other. Like everybody seems to hate Patrick Reed as well. But no one really wears it. It's rare that you see a golfer wear it on his sleeve like this, like Brooks Koepka did, where he literally has to stop the interview, take a deep breath, and be like, "I'm so disgusted by this man's presence." It's hysterical. It's so funny. It's Happy Gilmore and Shooter McGavin. Like that's what this is. As I'm watching this happen, I don't know which one is which, but that is where they've arrived with this rivalry. That it's like I can't even. No part of me watches this and thinks this is intense. This is like, boy, I would love to see Bryson and Brooks. Like people want to see them matched up. I think I want to see them matched up on a golf tournament where they have to play together, but I don't want to see it because like they're both really good golfers and it'd be interesting to see who comes out ahead. I want to see it because it's hilarious. Like that's it. Like and that's what's so funny to me is how funny it is. That's what's so interesting to me, I should say, is how funny it is that I don't find myself caring when Brooks Koepka says, "I have these 4 majors." It's like, cool, Brooks. No one cares about that. We care about the you know, we care about the pettiness and the chirping.
Brag, dude.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't care who wins. If whoever wins on the course, it could not be more irrelevant. Brooks Koepka could win every single major. for now in the next 15 years. And I will not say that he won the feud with Bryson DeChambeau unless he wins it off the course, and
totally.
So
and also that's the only part of it that I care about. I don't care about, at the end of this, I don't care who, obviously Brooks is going to be the better golfer. Like he just is. And you don't think so? Oh, see, this is where we're starting to undercut our own argument.
Well, because Bryson is, since he has invented the idea of hitting the ball long, it's changed the game. No, Brooks is better, but I don't know. Bryson, I don't know, but that's the point. Is I don't really care. I haven't given it much thought. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. All that matters, all that we're going to remember when you mention these two guys, their legacy is going to be that they had a broy fight. And I wrote about this for the Fox Sports app, which everybody should download and rate 5 stars in the App Store. I wrote about this because I was obviously obsessed with it, but also because I was like, the video was taken down, of course. I don't know whether it was by Bryson's camp, by Brooks's camp, by the PGA Tour, like, I don't know, by the network, whatever. The video was removed, and I think that's the worst thing they could do for golf, because this fight is exactly why I watch sports. I've said a lot that sports are the original reality TV. And it's actually like one of the few things that can't be spoiled by spoilers, because like you don't know what's going to happen until it happens.
Right.
And I watch reality TV for these juicy storylines. Like I want the feuds. I want the petty stuff, especially when it's this funny. Like this is hilarious because of the different types of golf bros that each of these guys are. Bryson DeChambeau is so obnoxious that it has come full circle where you're kind of like, I have to respect it. He's like, he complains about ants on his ball. He's very coy about like the new putter he's got. He puts on 40 pounds of muscle and is like, who, me? It was what you have Bryson nailed. Tell, like, what do you always say about him? He thinks he's
smarter than everybody because, as I said, like I said earlier, that he thinks like he was the first guy that thought, what if I just hit it farther? Right. And it's like, you're not, and he talks about course management. Like I see the course at an intellectual level where a lot of people are trying to play it straight. Like I see it at a different level where I'm gonna, and he'll do didn't he say it about Augusta that it's like not playing at a par 72, it's more of like a par 70 or whatever the number, and then he goes out and like is like 2 or 3 over.
Yeah, right, exactly.
The
and
guy,
he also, that's exactly what he did to Brooks, was essentially talking about course management, like hitting it on the right line.
Yes. He thinks that he has invented like a new way to play golf. He has not. But that's what makes it so hilarious, is that like, dude, you're not the first person that thought if I hit it farther, if I like, I don't know that's what this is one of the oldest sports in the world. Like people have been, like what you're saying, people have been coming up with for over 100 years now, Bryson. Right. You idiot. But that's why I love him, because I want to go on record, Charlotte. I want to go on record right now.
Okay.
I am firmly team Bryson DeChambeau in this feud for one reason and one reason only. He is far more interesting to me. Wow. Brooks Koepka has, like, Brooks Koepka is a better hang. If I'm getting beers with these guys, I would much rather hang with Brooks Koepka. Brooks Koepka, I might cheer for him. I wouldn't cheer for. I don't know. I don't know how to say it. Like I understand the appeal of Brooks Koepka over Bryson DeChambeau. Bryson is insufferable in so many ways, but in this specific feud, I am team Bryson because Bryson is far more interesting to me. Bryson does anything. It's a content goldmine. Yep. Whereas Brooks, it feels like Brooks is like, depressed is too strong of a word, but like he's got this whole vibe where he's like too cool for school. And like, I don't want to be here. And it's like even the face he made, he's like, oh, and to me, that's like, Brooks, if you're too cool for school, then don't come to school. You don't need to come to school. Just go be cool. Go Amen. Be cool somewhere else. We want like Bryson is great for content. And for that reason, I'm on team Bryson with this, but not in a way of like, don't hurt his, like when Brooks Koepka rolls his eyes, I'm not like going to defend Bryson. But if you're asking me like who's better in this rivalry, it's definitely Bryson. He's definitely creates the content. There is no rivalry if not for Bryson. You take Brooks out, you can plug in anybody else and they'll hate Bryson DeChambeau. You know what I mean? Bryson is what makes this rivalry go, not Brooks.
Bryson is the engine of the feud.
Yes.
I love that take, Mark, because to me, Brooks is exactly the opposite type of bro of like if DeChambeau had a polar opposite, it would be Brooks Koepka, because basically the way that you describe DeChambeau is perfect, and it makes me, he tries too hard.
Yes.
He's trying too hard, and that's why people are turned off by him, because they're like, oh man, like do less. Brooks is trying.
Not at all.
There's this Ben Folds song from like 2006 that I remember thinking was very funny. It's called "The Battle of Who Could Care Less," and it really feels like Brooks Koepka is always fighting the battle.
Yes.
But at the same time, he undercuts that because he does care enough to tweet things out to antagonize Bryson.
Right.
So on the one hand, he's acting like he's this guy who doesn't care and he's too cool and like, oh, blah blah blah. But to me, this is the kind of fight, like you were saying it's golf bros, so it's not like quite bros, but if you went to a college that was enough up its own ass like I did, where like I know these guys, like these guys would go to parties and like hate each other and end up getting in a fight about their golf handicap. And everyone's like, this could not be less interesting. Yeah. Like there's nothing you could, like, this is the worst fight. Like I said in the article, this reminds me of like, DeChambeau is the groom's friend from home and Koepka is the groom's college roommate, and they get into a fist fight at a bar in Scottsdale because one of them like nudged the ball on the course and the other one saw, and obviously it was DeChambeau who cheated and Brooks saw it, but DeChambeau's like, you're gonna be that much of a little bitch, you're gonna call me out at the bar after, like it's so familiar to people who know these kind of people, and to people who don't know these kind of people, first of all, congratulations, second of all, it's just like so stupidly male that you can't help but laugh at it. Like it's not harming anyone except each other. Yes.
That's what that's and that in and of itself is so rare in sports, because typically when we think of rivalries, we are invested. Like it's rare to have a rivalry that you laugh at, Charlotte. I'll just put it that way. Like when you think, if I told you that the Steelers and the Ravens are playing on Sunday Night Football and it's week 15 or something, or week 17, this is it, and the winner gets home, the winner gets a bye in the playoffs, the loser has to play in the wild card round, it all comes down to this, the division, right. And you just see the graphics like popping up and you're watching that and your butthole's just tense and you're like, oh my god, this is gonna be war, this is a war, oh my god, this is gonna be nuts. And this rivalry is the exact opposite. That's what I mean. It's like if they were going in on a Sunday, if it was, instead of Phil Mickelson, it was Bryson DeChambeau on Sunday going into the PGA Championship, and it was Bryson versus Brooks, and it was and CBS is running all these promos like Sunday, the go head to head, the winner, one PGA Championship on the line. I am 0% invested in like, oh man, oh, here we go.
You're not taking those promos seriously.
No, I am laughing my ass off. Just like, I wonder if like, I don't know, if Brooks is going to steal Bryson's 4-iron and put it in his bag and see if Bryson notices. Like, that's
right,
what
like, who puts the whoopee cushion under the green first,
And it is so rare that we have a rivalry like that where they truly hate each other. The hatred is real. If you could tell them both that they could punch the other one in the face with no repercussions, they would both say, yes, let's do it right now.
Yep.
The hatred is very real, but it's hilarious.
And they don't think it's funny, I don't think. Like, I think that they are very, very much truly hating each other, and the rest of us can just watch. Like, it would be... I don't think they're acting. Like, I think they're playing it up to a certain extent, but I also think you're right that they genuinely feel this way about each other. And that is, it's just a beautiful thing to have a rivalry that you cannot take seriously, which is why this week our lists are the top 5 rivalries that we do not take seriously
at all. The funniest rivalries. That's what I put down on my list.
That's
the
me
funniest
too,
ones.
but I had to say it 10 times longer than that.
The exact idea of Bryson and of Brooks, that no matter what's on the line, the fate of the world could be on the line in these rivalries, and I'm still just laughing my ass off about
100%.
it. I can't bring myself to care about who wins or how intense it is or anything else. So
I also want to say that I think in every rivalry, and this might just be for my list, but in every rivalry there is one person who makes it ridiculous. It's like Bryson in this case. You don't have this rivalry if you could plug someone else in. Yeah. But you can't plug the other person in.
Yeah, and like so, a golf rivalry in and of itself would be pretty funny, but some about Bryson just takes it to the next level. I don't know.
Exactly. And I think in every one of my situations, I think there's one person who like really drives it in a way that I love.
Okay.
So
I love that.
do you want me to go first? Do I always
you go
first?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. My first is Patrick Ewing / Charles Oakley versus James Dolan. Because this is the funniest, like the fact that you can't ever take James Dolan seriously, ever. The fact that that his security guards got into fights or disrespected two of the best players who ever played for his normally shitty franchise.
Yes.
And he didn't step in and be like, we're so sorry. He was in, like Dolan and Oakley got into a fight. Like that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, and it's Dolan who everybody is obviously like, yeah, well, this guy started it somehow. And I love it. I love that.
The great thing about James Dolan from a content perspective is that like I understand Knicks fans hate him and they have every reason to, and but what makes it so fascinating is he feels like he's in like a 90s kids movie about sports where you need like a character who's like the owner of the team or like the
guy trying to move the team to a different town or something.
Yes. And he is so obviously bad at everything that it just feels like it's like he's an overwritten character.
He's like an evil Buddy Garrity from Friday Night Lights.
Yes. And what makes it so fascinating is that he's enraged all the Knicks fans. There does not seem to exist even the tiniest faction of Knicks fans who are like, yeah, but like James, he did this, like that was good. That when he did that, not a single Knicks fan out there is like is a James Dolan apologist in the slightest. And what's so fascinating is that there's not a damn thing any of them can do about it. It's his team. You know what I mean? Like that's what makes it the tug of war so funny. And it sucks, and it's only funny because like I'm not a fan of the team. Obviously, if it was my team, I'd be real shitty about it, and I'd be pissed like they are. Right. But the tug of war is so funny because usually, if you hate somebody enough, if you can get enough people to hate somebody enough, that's the joy of this country is that we can all come together. And if we hate somebody enough, and we get enough signatures on this petition, or we get enough votes this way or that way, or whatever,
someone's gone.
Someone's gone. If you suck that badly, we can do something about it. But this is a rare instance where there's nothing that can be done.
And it's just, I totally agree. Everyone is helpless in this situation. And it's not a situation where fans are like, maybe someday I'll be that rich and I'm going to side with the owner. Like not a single person feels that way. I think people have like sort of weird crushes on Jerry Jones if you're a Cowboys fan. But and if you look at it, like, the Cowboys haven't won since the Knicks have been good. Right. Like, it's the same. Okay, if you're going by championships, that's kind of the same deal. When was the last win? 95? A playoff win? I don't know. And yet here we are. People are like, yeah, but Jerry built the stadium. And like, but Dolan's not cool enough.
That's what it is.
For all of Jerry Jones's flaws, he's still like cool. Like he's an inherently team. Exactly, and he also has swagger. And Dolan's like wearing a velvet suit and playing his dumb songs. This is also a real risk for me to say all of this because I have only just been allowed back in Madison Square Garden. I was blacklisted for 3 years after I covered a James Dolan concert that he played on the night of the draft instead of going to the draft.
Well, that brings me to my number 5, which is Charlotte Wilder versus James Dolan.
I was like, is it really?
Wow. How about that?
Jesus.
How about that?
What's your number 5?
Number 5 for me is the civil conflict is what this was called. And it is a football rivalry, quote unquote, between UConn, the University of Connecticut, and the University of Central Florida. If you're scratching your head wondering...
Yes, I remember this.
You remember this?
Yes. Oh my God. Yes, I love this. Go for it.
If you're scratching your head wondering how they could be rivals, you might be a member of the Central Florida football team because as it turns out, Central Florida had nothing to do with this. This rivalry is called the Civil Conflict. It was played, I believe, like 3 seasons. So, and it was started in 2013.
Yep.
Bob Diaco, I believe is how you say his last name, was the UConn head coach. This man was a head coach for 3 seasons at UConn and was fired. These are the only 3 seasons he was ever a head coach in his entire career. He got the job at UConn, then was fired. Now he's back to like doing God knows what. But when he gets hired, he decided to start a rivalry on his own. He called it the civil conflict between UConn and Central Florida. In his 3 years at UConn, he was 11-26. Central Florida had no idea this was a thing. So UConn wins the first 2 games that this thing gets started. He makes a trophy. They all like, he's holding up the trophy. He's excited, whatever. Year 3, UCF beats UConn. They don't acknowledge the trophy. They don't like, it's not even like a protest where it's like the trophy comes out and they like turn their backs and leave. They're just like, what? Like they get asked about it. They're like, I have no idea what that even is. UConn's coach. This existed in his mind and his mind only. He gets fired after that season. They do not bring it back. They don't renew it, whatever. Like the rivalry dies. And that's the end of that. And nobody seems to know where the trophy is. Nobody seems to know why this was ever a thing in the first place. This was the concoction of one man. And it is the funniest thing ever because it has it makes no geographical sense. It makes no historical sense. It makes 0 sense. It was just one man who was a head coach for 3 years at the University of Connecticut came up with this idea. That was a very, very bad idea, and then it just like fizzled into thin air, and it's gone. So
I like to think that if we could come up with a rivalry, it would be something like that.
Yeah.
It would be like we'd start a rivalry with like cereal. We'd be like that podcast, and everybody like, sorry, what?
What?
And NPR would be like, we don't. Sorry, we've never heard of the People's Sports Podcast.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. They started a rivalry that the other side had no idea was even going on. Also, the other note, it was stylized. With the conflict part of this, it was civil conflict, and then conflict was like all lowercase letters except the FL and the CT because of Florida and Connecticut, which when you see it like spelled out like that, it looks preposterous. The whole
also,
thing
like,
is so stupid.
UConn was right there. Like UConflict was right there, and they went the CT and the FL.
So bad. You could have. This could have been like if these two teams. If this was still going on and these 2 teams were playing for the national championship, I would just be laughing my ass off about the civil conflict. So that's why it's number 5 on my list.
I love it. I love it. All right, number 4 on my list is James Dolan versus Spike Lee.
Are you serious?
Yeah, just wait. You'll see what I'm doing here. So after all of the Charles Oakley, Patrick Ewing stuff, James Dolan decides, or Madison Square Garden security decides that they are not going to let Spike Lee in 2019 or 2020. I don't know. It was right before the pandemic. They're not going to let him use the entrance that he has always used to go to Knicks games as the Knicks' biggest celebrity fan, the guy who cares most about this team in the world. They decide that he's the guy they're going to arbitrarily just decide to piss off one day. This is hilarious to me because then obviously Spike Lee is in the right here, but Spike Lee goes on a revenge media tour that I still think is one of the best things I've ever seen. He goes on Get Up like every morning for a week, decked out in his Knicks gear, being like, "This man is an atrocity in New York City. We got to get him out." Like Spike Lee fuels this fire. The Knicks, they don't release a statement. I mean, an apology. They release a statement that's like, "Yeah, but that's still the wrong entrance," and everyone's like, "Are you kidding me? Like you're gonna double down?" And I can't get enough of it. That's really all I've got. I just think that I have this image of Spike Lee seared into my brain wearing his like blue and orange Knicks glasses and his Knicks shirt on Get Up being like, this is unacceptable.
And Mike Greenberg is just you want to hear something just absolutely ridiculous and it might not be surprising, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Always.
I think I side with James Dolan in this.
I knew you were going to say that. As soon as you said absolutely ridiculous. Why?
Only because I think we need some perspective on Spike Lee and his importance to the New York Knicks. Because if you're a Spike Lee fan in terms of his fandom to the Knicks, I'm not talking about his movies. If you love Spike Lee's fandom with the Knicks, plug your ears. Spike Lee doesn't matter. He's irrelevant. I know he wants to believe he matters. If Spike Lee stopped going to Knicks games, I think it would take me like a week to notice or care, and then I would immediately not care.
This is like me purposely getting facts about Virginia geography wrong. I hope everybody email us.
How many
about
times
how
you've been
offended
watching,
you are that Mark just said that.
How many times you've been watching the Lakers and like you notice Jack's not there or is there or is not? Like my God, the entitlement to believe that you should have like a special entrance for that. You're not on the team. You don't matter. You're a fan just like everyone else. Get in line. Like you already have like a VIP section. Like you'll be taken care of just like every other super rich asshole that sits courtside at the Knicks games. But my God, like you're not Patrick Ewing. Patrick Ewing and Charles Oakley, they have legitimate gripes. They should be treated like royalty when they go to Madison Square Garden. Patrick Ewing won a ton of games. His jersey's in the rafters. He's a legend. They should roll out the red carpet for Patrick Ewing. Spike Lee, get out of here. No.
Do you know how brainwashed I've become? I'm so brainwashed that I'm like mad hearing you say that. I'm like, Spike, I'm like, are you like, you can't say that about him. I'm like, do you know what he does for morale? Like, do you know what he's done for the team? Do you know what, like, do you know how important it is that he's at every game?
Obviously not that important because he goes to all the games and the Knicks have sucked forever. So like if Spike Lee mattered that much, don't you think at some point we should start pinning some of this on Spike? We should start saying if Spike is such a good fan, why are the Knicks a garbage organization? What's going on there? Why isn't Spike a better fan? Think about that.
I'm just sitting here very confused about the emotions in my heart. I'm a little worried about what's going on with my fandom here as I sit in a Patrick Ewing t-shirt in front of a Patrick Ewing poster.
Remember he said there's no James Dolan fans out there? I'm about to be the one. By the end of this podcast, I'm going to be like, I love James Dolan.
You're going to get canceled for saying you love James Dolan. We're going to cut that audio. I'm kidding. Don't put that on Twitter. Mark doesn't need that. Okay, well, that brings you to your fourth.
My number 4, this is kind of not really a deep cut, but it might be for some people that have no idea who this guy is. Chael Sonnen versus anyone and everyone in UFC. So Chael Sonnen is...
I don't know who he is.
He is. Okay. So I am not a UFC guy. I've said this on the podcast before. I don't really follow it. I don't know a ton of fighters. I certainly don't know history. I don't know Chael Sonnen. Like, I don't know a single fight he ever fought in his career at all. What I do know about the guy is he is the greatest trash talker of all time. And the reason I have him on my list is because he single-handedly got my attention into UFC in the first place to where like I even acknowledged that it existed, because this guy, I'll give you a little background on who this guy is. He was like the first, the way I remember it is like he was like the first star of UFC. And there are a lot of UFC fans that are listening, I'm sure, who are like, you could not be more wrong. There was this guy, like this guy was so much better than Chael, whatever. You're probably right. In fact, I would say you are right. I'm telling you my perspective. This is how I consumed UFC. Was Chael Sonnen just pops up out of nowhere and starts cutting like WWE promos and is actually like a great fighter. And I loved it. So he calls himself an American gangster. He's far retired. I think he does like commentary now. Again, I don't really follow UFC, so I don't really know what he's up to, but I think he does commentaries for someone. Charlotte, he would call himself an American gangster. He was from Westland, Oregon, which is like the most affluent suburb of Portland, where all the Trailblazers live.
No way.
And there's this famous video. You should go look it up. I'll send it to you after the show, where he's deadpan talking about his life growing up in the mean streets of West Lynn, where he's like, I had to see a guy just like throw litter on the ground, and I had to watch that. I'm 7 years old just watching a guy throw a piece of trash on the ground. He's like, it was disgusting. I couldn't, and he's deadpan cutting these promos about how he's from the hood, and it's like,
and that would be like me trying to say something like that.
Yeah,
it would be like you're the actual.
I've had a hard life. A boat hit my power lines one time. Yeah.
One time, right? Oh, I'm not even.
So there's that, and then there's these quotes. Are you ready for this? So he was one time he was busted for having high testosterone levels. He had a Medina Spirit situation, put a little too much ointment. So he gets
Bob
busted.
Baffert peed on his breakfast.
Yes, he failed a drug test, and his quote was this: "My phone rings. They call me up. They say, Chael, your testosterone level is too high." I say, "Well, how high was it?" They say 0.7. I said, "What's normal?" They say 0.6. I said, 1/10. You're telling me I'm 1/10 higher than the average man? Retest that. You must have caught me on a low day.
Oh my God. That's so good.
He had this quote about a ring girl. He says, we only had one ring girl, and that was Chandela. The other was the IQ card girl, Ariane. She kind of walks around and holds up her latest test score. One time there was a title fight. She got all the way up to 5, and we were very proud of her.
Oh my. He's ruthless.
He was trash talking Anderson Silva apparently one time, and they were set up to have a fight. And he says, "You tell Anderson Silva that I'm coming over and I'm kicking down his back door and patting his little lady on the ass, and I'm telling her to make me a steak, medium rare, just how I like it."
Oh my God.
So he wasn't he wasn't just a great trash talker, Charlotte. He was hilarious. And for that reason, like that's why I put him on my list, is because like I wasn't super invested in UFC, but I just remember like, you know, my friends were into it and I'm on the periphery of like, you know, I'm the kind of guy that UFC is trying to get to buy the fights, because they're like, maybe we could, if we promo it right, we could get Titus.
You're the third tier fan. You're the tertiary fan that they're trying to bring in.
If it all clicks right, I will buy the pay-per-view. And every time like Chael Sonnen would pop up in my world, I like anytime it was tried to be packaged as like a huge fight, like the title's on the line, this guy, I would just watch him do his promos and his interviews before the fights and just laugh my ass off, and I could never take him seriously. And he was a great fighter, but I never took him seriously.
What year, around when was he fighting?
He must have, I remember him when I was in high school, so I was like 06. I think he was like 05 to probably,
I was gonna say, was it
2012, like 13ish maybe?
Was it like late 2000s? Because those insults, those like sexist insults that like he doesn't even think are sexist, is like the epitome of the end of high school, early college for me, where you know, it's just like casual misogyny and everyone's like, oh, it's funny. You know, he's like, here, I'm gonna trash talk, you know, and even I was like, yeah, man, that's funny. And like it's not, I don't say this as like, you know, I'm not a little snowflake about this. I mean, like, it's legitimately funny because he sounds like such a loser that he would, you know what I mean?
But he would do like, it, but and here's me defending him as the man on the show. As
the local reason, men's rights activist.
Yeah, the reason I, as a man, don't have a problem with this. What made it different to me is that he like the misogyny wasn't the funny part. It was like the packaging, like you know what I mean.
That's what I mean. That is like it's a casual like side dish is the misogyny of it, which makes it's like you're laughing at him, not with him in some way, but also like maybe a little bit with him.
Maybe a little bit with him because you like think that he's playing a character. I don't know, the whole
Galaxy Brain satire.
The whole deal was something else. So I put him on the list because that just fit the bill for me. It's like every time he had like a prize fight, and I was like, I can't take this seriously because this guy is funny. I just want to see what this guy's gonna say.
I'm gonna go watch his promos.
You have to. I'll send you the one where he's talking about himself being an American gangster. It's so funny. It's so good.
Oh man. Okay. My third is Spike Lee versus Reggie Miller. You see what I'm doing here?
I see this. I like it.
So
there you are again with the. It's funny. See, it's funny because.
Get it?
Get it?
Get it, Mark?
Get it?
You get it? See? Imagine like having to hang out with me in real life all the time. It's exhausting. Anyway, so Spike Lee versus Reggie Miller. Spike Lee taunted Reggie Miller so much that he made Reggie Miller so mad that Reggie Miller went off and had the most insane run and beat the Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Okay, that sounds Spike Lee. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know if fans got upset about this at the time. What was that, 94?
94, yeah.
So that to
they had a little run. They played the playoffs a handful of times. I think 93 they played each other too in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They had a few different playoff runs, but 94 is the one that was like the one.
And that's all. You know, I don't feel like I really have to explain these very much because what I meant is like it's clear who's in the wrong on each one.
Yeah.
And the way like I still think James Dolan was in the wrong in the Spike Lee versus James Dolan one, but I think Spike Lee really brought this on himself.
Yeah, he brought this on himself with Reggie, but I think also.
But you hate Reggie Miller.
But I hate Reggie Miller, so I'll side to Spike because. But what makes this a good one is that it's so rare. I mean, this doesn't like fans, and you would think more fans and players would have beef, but it doesn't really seem to happen.
Yeah,
really
I know, anymore.
Right? And like Drake is friends with everybody, so Drake is on the sideline like. We need Drake to hate people. I think that's what we're getting at. Is we need
Drake's the opposite, and he needs to pick a lane.
He needs to pick a lane. He needs to trash talk. We need more, more guys like talking smack to Drake after they hit shots. Instead, LeBron, if LeBron's playing against the Raptors or something, and he did. He literally did this. Like LeBron killed the Raptors in the playoffs every year, and it felt like Drake was like, "Thank you, LeBron. That was so cool." Yeah. It's like, no, dude, don't do that. So I'll defend Spike for that reason.
Drake and LeBron are kind of, this is not related, but they're kind of similar in that I feel like LeBron, if there's a cool famous person who wants to be friends with him, he's like, oh hell yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
And I feel like Drake is also like, it's almost like there's a hint of insecurity behind their confidence.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. Because if I was that famous, I would pick and choose who I hung out with. I'd be like, if I was LeBron and they were like, hey man, Drake wants to hang with you, I'd be like, I don't know Drake. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
I'd be like, Drake,
what,
the guy who
is he
likes
cool?
every team.
Yeah, like I don't like tell him I said thanks, but I'm busy that night. Like we didn't even tell you what night, LeBron. He's like, yeah, I'm busy.
Like that's okay. I got to go to Hawaii with Aaron and Miles.
Yeah, I would be that way, but yeah, they're both that way. That they're clout chasers, I think, is the term we call that, Charlotte. Which is weird because they have more clout than anybody. But
exactly.
Number 3 for me, kind of vague. I don't love that I did this, but I got into a rabbit hole late last night where I was just watching video after video. So I just wanted to put this on the list because I was laughing my ass off.
Okay.
It is cyclists versus fans. And the rivalry is cycling almost always in Europe. They're doing these bike rides through mountains and winding roads and whatnot. And for whatever reason, there's just like, they always allow fans just on the side of the roads with like no barriers or anything. And I got caught last night deep in a rabbit hole just watching compilations of cyclists punching fans in the face as like the fans were like running next to them. And like, yeah. And I was dying. I was laughing so hard.
That's worth putting on your list.
And the reason it's on the list beyond like it's funny, but like the reason I feel sort of guilty and laughing, or like it's bizarre that I would laugh at this, is because some of these, like the cyclists would get knocked over by fans. They'd like break their legs and like maybe their careers aren't ruined, but like they were competitive in a race, and now all of a sudden they have to bow out of the race. Whatever. And you would think that like some small part of me would be like, dude, that sucks to train your whole life and have this moment ruined by some guy with a painted face and like a flag around his neck, who's just like running through the Alps and just like pushes you over. I did not think that at all, Charlotte. I was laughing my ass off watching these guys fight, watching the fans, the hooligan European fans. So the whole scene is funny to me, and I put that at number 3. So I'm sorry. It's
I
not
respect
more specific,
that. No, I'm into it. Will you send me those videos too?
They're so
I'm gonna
good.
have the same reaction I had when the guy punched a kangaroo, though. I'm gonna be like, oh, and you're gonna be like, no, I don't feel that.
No, because I don't think you'll feel that with this. Because first of all, they're European, which is like,
it's also human on human.
Yeah, it's human on human,
like
and they're European hooligans, and like I don't know, but it's just it's so bizarre to just there's no sport on earth. I should probably maybe walk that back because I do that a lot, but I don't know. I can't imagine another sport on earth where the fans can so openly affect what's going on, and there's kind of no recourse. Like, if you
clearly haven't been at the Garden for a playoff game, baby.
Like if Spike Lee just like tripped Trae Young, and then like the NBA just kind of shrugged their shoulders, like there's kind of nothing we can do about that. That's just part of the game. They're like, what? Why is that part of the game? That's what cycling is that fans are just I don't know.
That's so good. Oh God, I love it. Okay, my number 2 is Reggie Miller versus Michael Jordan. Reggie Miller is the idiot in this case because, come on.
Because he was never going to beat Michael Jordan.
He was never going to be. He was never going to beat him. He was never going to be better than him. He trash talked him, and then Jordan. Well, according to Miller, MJ says, "Be sure you never talk to Black Jesus like that." After he trash talks him one time, and I don't know how you ever come back from a burn like that after getting beat.
Can I just point out, this is why I hate Reggie Miller is so much growing up in Indiana, is that this is what the guy, this is his identity more so than anything he's ever accomplished on a basketball court, is that like he had a quote unquote rivalry with Michael Jordan, which wasn't even a rivalry. He just like, he stepped to Michael Jordan and Michael Jordan put him in his place. That's kind of what happened. Yeah. So the pinnacle of his career was almost beating Michael Jordan one time. And it's that, and then his fight with Spike Lee, and that's it. And that's like what people know about him. And he scored 9 points one time, but that's like more a Spike Lee situation. My point is,
I couldn't tell you anything else about Reggie Miller. Oh, except that now he's in the Wendy's commercials.
Yeah, he's a bad commentator. I don't know. I have a weirdly strong.
I know. I love it so much. That's why I put him on here. I knew you'd get riled up.
Because I think I just hated growing up in Indiana, and like I was the Galaxy Brain kid in Indiana. I was like, this guy sucks. Like, why are you all fans of him? He's like, because he's our. He might suck. He's our guy. I was like, he doesn't have to be. It's like it's pro sports, dude. Like you realize when he retires, he's never coming back to Indiana, right? They're like, nah, Reggie would. Look at him now. Look at him now.
You've been training your whole life for this podcast.
How many times does Reggie Miller go back to Indiana? Never.
We should have called this the Devil's Sports Advocate.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'd be a good one. Anyway, what's your number 2?
Number 2, you're going to love it. You're going to wonder why it's not number 1.
Okay.
The New York Yacht Club versus Sir Thomas Lipton.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
As a reminder, this man, from 1899 to 1930, lost 5 straight America's Cups. Then he died in 1931. He tried to win the America's Cup for 31 years and then died. A failure. Lost 5 straight times.
Remember when I was like, what happened to Shamrock 6? And you were like, I don't know, he probably died.
He probably died. And then we looked it up, and he died.
The heir to the Lipton Tea fortune spent his life trying to beat the New York Yacht Club.
No, he was the guy who created the Lipton Tea fortune.
Oh, right. Sorry, the grandfather of the Lipton Tea, not the heir.
Guy.
The guy.
Instead of just chilling and drinking tea and counting his money, he's like, I am going to win America's Cup. In fact, I'm going to devote the rest of my life. I'm going to win America's Cup or die trying. And then everyone laughed at him. Sounds like you're going to die trying.
When I can't think of another instance where someone said, you know, like, get rich or die trying. I think 50 Cent got rich.
Yeah.
I can't think of another instance where he died. He died from trying. Oh, Mark, that's so good. Thank you for that. That's a little gift.
As a reminder, you kind of mentioned it, the Shamrock. The first boat they raced, his first attempt was on a boat called Shamrock. Second attempt, Shamrock 2. Third attempt, Shamrock 3. Fourth attempt, Shamrock 4. Fifth attempt, he called it the Freedom Express. No, I'm kidding. He called it the Shamrock 5. He kept going with the Shamrock. Also, I saw this because I was doing I was trying to get all my numbers right for this show because I remembered the specifics, but not always the dates and everything.
Yeah.
And in doing so, I stumbled across this. The British, as a country, as a people, are 0-17 all time in America's Cups. They have never once won America's Cup. Once.
People overlook that in all the lists about like most tortured fan base and all that shit. Like, no, it's the British in sailing.
The British sailors, the British are terrible. They're 0-17, Charlotte. So
it almost makes you wonder how the Mayflower ever got here.
Great point. They built an empire on sail. It's all over the world. They sailed their boats all over the world and conquered people and places and things. And yet when it comes time to conquer a trophy, they can't do it.
That would be like Dunkin' Donuts. I'm just
what? Where are you going with that?
I was gonna say, oh God, I'd like to go on record and say I caught myself before I completed this thought because I was like, you sound so dumb, but I was gonna say that would be like Dunkin' Donuts not winning a fast casual donut shop competition.
God. Oh my God, what?
Oh, I'm crying. That is so dumb. Oh my God. Okay. Anyway, my number 1. Mark, thank you for that. I needed that. I not a day goes by that I want to not think about
Sir Thomas.
I want to think about Sir Thomas Lipton every day. We should make T-shirts. The Des Moines Yacht Club on the front. They should say Shamrock 6 on the back.
Shamrock 6 is our boat.
That's our boat.
Yeah.
Shamrock, no question.
It's basketball time. Shamrock 6.
I need to get on this. I need to make these before we get too many other phrases and the cost goes up for putting more words on it. Okay, my number 1 feud that I cannot take seriously, that I think is the funniest thing every single time I think about it, is Michael Jordan versus everybody. Mm-hmm. This might be a sort of too straightforward pick, but The Last Dance was all we had for several months last year in 2020, and I became obsessed with how much Michael Jordan held grudges, and I still think the best meme in the last 5 years was Michael Jordan saying, and I took that personally.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
great.
so good. Self-explanatory. I don't have to say more than that.
And the joy of watching The Last Dance, like that part of it was that it felt like he would talk about the grudges that made a lot of sense. That like he would lose to the Pistons all the time, and boy, I hated those Pistons. They knocked me out of the playoffs. I had to get over that hump, and then finally we did. I took it personally, and we kicked their ass, and like that was awesome. That felt great. And you're like, you're nodding along. You're like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like,
right.
This team keeps beating you. I'd be pissed off too. And then by the end of it, it's like, yeah, the security guard looked at me the wrong way. So I mean, what was the one? Was it George Karl at dinner that like George Karl snubbed him or didn't snub him? I forget which one it was, but like that was the most preposterous to me because I was laughing because it was like no matter what George Karl did, he was gonna take it personally. That like
I don't even remember what it was because it didn't matter what he did. He was just upset about it.
Because I think it was George Karl. Ah, shit, I forget. Did he talk to him or not? It doesn't matter because the point is, say it's that George Karl snubbed him. That like he saw him at dinner. George Karl didn't talk to him. I think he said he snubbed him. Yeah, and he was like, I was pissed
off. Or that he taunted him at dinner.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's confusing because it doesn't matter because Michael Jordan would take it personally, and I'm sitting there watching it like, dude, if you would have done the other thing, you would have been even more pissed off. So what are you talking about? And it really gave us a look inside Michael Jordan's brain, which is not a healthy place probably, but it is a place with 6 rings, Charlotte. So.
So everyone who's mad at Aaron Rodgers is, you know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, what's your number one, Mark?
My number one, if you thought Chael Sonnen was a misogynistic pick, you're gonna love this one, Charlotte.
Okay, go for it.
My number one all-time funniest sports rivalry is Andy Kaufman versus women. Do you know who Andy Kaufman is?
Yes.
Are you aware that in the early 80s, in 1979 through like 1983, he wrestled over 400 women?
No.
And that this was...
Wait, what? Okay, so Andy Kaufman did these sort of performance art elaborate...
Yes. He was the king of anti-comedy, where like he would do things on stage that like weren't really funny, and then like he would do them long enough and commit to it so long that like you'd start laughing and you kind of get it, and it would click that it was actually funny.
He did what I do, which is beat jokes to death, but he did it so that it was actually fun. Like you started laughing eventually. Yeah,
he's awesome. I was obsessed with him when I was growing up because part of it was because he died so young. There's that mystique too, and I was a sucker for that when I was like in high school. But everyone seemed to love him. Like all that era of comedians thought he was like so fun. Like Jim Carrey, I was obsessed with him. Makes the movie where he is Andy Kaufman.
Yes.
And then he I don't think he stopped being Andy Kaufman. I think that's like
I think Jim Carrey is Andy Kaufman.
Yeah, that's what happened to Jim Carrey. Anyway, one of the bits, quote unquote, that Andy Kaufman did back in the day was that he challenged in 1979. He appears on Saturday Night Live, and he offers $500 to any woman that can pin him.
You're kidding me! I didn't know this. Oh, that is sports.
And then he wrestled a woman and pinned her. And then like this was like a whole thing for like 5 years or something, where Andy Kaufman like would do public appearances. He would call himself like the women's wrestling champion of the world. He was just like, the whole deal was like he's being a heel. Like that was the anti-comedy. That's what I mean. Like it wasn't a comedic bit. He was like, I'm dead serious that I think I could beat any woman on earth in wrestling, and I will pay you if you can pin me.
Did anyone ever pin him?
To my knowledge, I don't think they did. Because I think it was like you have to pin him in like the first 3 minutes, or I don't know. He had like a lot of these.
He had a rule that would keep the bit going.
That would keep the bit going. But at no point would he laugh or anything like that. He was like very serious, and you would watch it. I wasn't alive then, but I've watched all these clips on YouTube 100 times. And at no point is it like funny to him or anything like that.
Right,
but that's exactly what made it so funny.
That's pretty brilliant. I don't even think that's misogynist. I think that's just, like, I think that he is doing a satire of pointing out what is wrong with guys who are like that. Yeah. So it is like.
Can you imagine him though doing that today? Because everyone loves talking about like we could never do that today, or you could whatever. And I think your gut instinct is like, oh my God, he could never do that today. He would get killed for it. And I'm thinking, no, this would be so much better today. Think about how upset. I think people would get so shitty with it, like, because that was his point. Like he would be very misogynistic. He was like he was literally a wrestling heel. That he would say like women are inferior, or like they're weak, or like what they belong in. He would say this stuff.
But that to me is like such obvious satire, which I guess some people might say like, oh, but it doesn't matter because it's not funny. It's just like, you know what I mean? But like,
The reason it's funny to me isn't necessarily that, you know, like I wasn't laughing at him saying women belong in the kitchen. What I was laughing at is the absurd, just like me saying this out loud, that a man appeared on Saturday Night Live and said, "I'll give you $500 if you can pin me," and they wrestled a woman.
Absolutely wild. I had no idea that was a bit. Wow, you gave me. I need to go watch so many videos.
You do, yeah. I give the people a lot of homework, so
wow,
there it is.
You did. We're gonna get a bunch of emails about other Andy Kaufman skits.
I was obsessed with Andy Kaufman for so long, and I don't know.
I'm not surprised.
I also was obsessed with him. I thought he faked his own death. I was obsessed with like everyone faking their own death.
Yeah,
I was obsessed with like
see that.
Elvis and Tupac, and I was like, every single one of these guys is faking their own death. But
I did believe Tupac was still alive for a while.
I've phased out of it, unfortunately.
We would have gotten along in high school.
Yeah. Life was so much more fun when someone could just come to you and be like, you know, he faked his own death, right? And you're like, what?
And you're like, whoa, you mean he's a hologram? Yeah. Remember that? Like Tupac was a hologram for a while?
That's true. Yeah, he was.
I don't know.
Do you want to do it?
I think we got to do it.
All right.
We don't have to keep it going if it doesn't work, but we're going to do a quiet podcast.
Here's what happens. So A Quiet Place 2 comes out on Friday, and when we heard about that, we decided this is a perfect time to actually give this a go. So tell the people what's happening here. You want.
So we're gonna turn our volumes off, I guess. Is that the best way to do this?
Yeah. There's the software we use to record these podcasts. There's a little button at the bottom that we can mute each other talking, like, you know, where I can't hear what you're saying, you can't hear what I'm saying. So
really?
You just hit it says mute the speaker. Right there at the bottom.
Heck? I don't
right
see
next
that.
to the chat box and the microphone.
The chat box and the microphone, it says the little 3 dot things. Mark, I'm so bad at technology.
You move your mouse down to the bottom middle of the screen, and there's the chat box, there's the mute speaker, mute your own microphone, disable the camera. So the mute speaker is the second from the left, isn't it?
Wow, I don't know if I have that. We're using the same program. Hold on. Mute the speaker. The one to the right next to the message box. There's
a megaphone looking thing, and then there are...
Yeah, I see the megaphone thing.
So click on that and see what happens. What happens when that...
I just turned the volume. I can't hear you when I click that.
That's the point. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god, this is bad already. I think that's it.
By the way, to everyone listening and not watching this, my hair has dried just absolutely. I do not look great right now, folks. Okay, are you ready? Wait,
can you hear me? You can't hear me.
Well, I can hear you. Yes.
Okay. So
I'm gonna mute you.
We're gonna mute each other, and then what are we gonna do?
The topic, we're gonna talk about skyscrapers for a little while, and
all right,
we're gonna have a conversation where I can't hear Mark, and he can't hear me, but we can read each other's lips, and like sort of have an idea, and we want to see if we can.
Oh my god,
this is so stupid. All right,
go ahead.
You start us off. I'm muting you now.
I'm muted. Go.
I can't hear you.
I can't hear you. Talk.
I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Are you talking? You're not talking, Charlotte. You have to say something. I'm going to tell everyone what's going on here. You can't hear what I'm saying, but I'm going to tell everyone what's going on here is that we both muted. I waited for Charlotte to start talking. We decided that she was going to be the one to start talking. And now I'm sitting here waiting on you to talk, but you're not talking.
So I'm not entirely clear what you just said, but I think that you explained to people that we're going to talk about skyscrapers, and I want to talk about the Burj Khalifa, the biggest skyscraper in the world, which is in Dubai, because I looked up how they built it, and it turns out that it cost $1.5 billion to build.
Wow. I'm pretending like I'm listening to what Charlotte said, but I actually didn't, and I'm not paying attention at all. I'm just fascinated by her thinking that this idea would ever work. So I think for the rest of this segment, I am just going to mock her and see if she listens back to this at all. This was the worst idea you've ever had. This is such a bad idea, but whatever, we'll do it anyway. And now I'm going to say skyscrapers a bunch, so that way she thinks that I am talking about skyscrapers. Skyscraper, is that right? And I'm furrowing my brow so it looks like I'm asking her a question, so that way she can try to figure out what I'm saying. But really, I'm saying nothing, and all you guys listening know I'm not saying anything. So let's see what she says now, right?
I have a really good feeling that you are trolling me right now and are not talking about skyscrapers at all. But if you were asking me how I think they build them, I think they build them by... Well, I looked up the guy who did all the interiors of the Burj Khalifa, and it turns out I was just thinking, I was like, can you imagine being that one guy who was tasked with building this 2,000-foot building, and like the buck has to stop somewhere, and it stops with you. Like if that building falls down, it's your fault. I can't imagine that kind of pressure. I don't know how you sleep at night.
I'm laughing. Charlotte looks so excited to say these facts. I have no idea what the hell she's saying. But you seem to be very excited. So I don't know. I have nothing else to say. I think that's it. I think it's over. I think we'd stop it. Stop it.
Unmute.
Unmute. We're back. How do you think that went?
I think I said this on my end, but I said that I think you're trolling me and you're not talking about skyscrapers at all.
Did you really?
Yeah. Is that what you were doing?
Yeah.
I knew it. I talked about skyscrapers.
As soon as you started, I was like, what the hell is she talking about? And I just started laughing. Oh my God.
I talked about how I wouldn't want to be the one guy who was responsible with the buck stopped here for building the tallest skyscraper in the world. All right,
that
folks.
was so bad.
That was awful. Send us emails.
Quiet Place. This Friday.
We're acting like we're sponsored by a Quiet Place. We're not. We just thought we'd tie it to something.
I wrote down a bunch of skyscraper notes, to be honest, and I was ready to give it a go, and then it started, and I was like, I can't do this.
I know. I read my skyscraper notes. The Burj Khalifa cost $1.5 million to build.
Can I make a pitch for the Indy 500 real quick, very quickly,
before we
get out of here? The Indy 500's on Sunday. I found that a lot of people do not care. They do not watch. It is not on Fox, so in that regard, maybe don't care as much. But as a guy from the state of Indiana, I'm wearing it back home again, an Indiana shirt, Indy 500 shirt. I love it. It's my favorite sporting event in the world, and I feel a responsibility to get people to care about this thing. So you listening at home, you Charlotte listening right now, you're probably saying it's a race. I don't understand. They just turn left a bunch.
Hey, Mark, don't they just turn left?
What else? Why should I watch this?
What
makes this different? What makes it special? So I'm going to hit you with the facts real quick, and then we'll get the hell out of here. Largest sporting venue in the world is Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Mm-hmm. The largest single-day sporting event in the world is the Indianapolis 500. It is the most highly attended single-day sporting event anywhere in this world, on this planet. I didn't know that. It is true. You should watch because the engineering behind it looks like they're just turning left, but if you really focus on what's happening, which is it's a tough ask, I understand, but these guys are basically sitting on rockets with wheels attached to them. They're going 230 miles an hour on basically flat ground that banks a little bit in the turns, but the centripetal force would scramble your brain if you or I tried to ride in these things.
Yeah.
And they're trying to not hit each other, but also pass each other. And they're doing this for 500 miles. It is insane. But as for this specific race, some notes. Scott Dixon is on the pole. Last year, he led 111 laps, Charlotte. He looked like he dominated the race, did not win, got second because Takuma Sato passed him. Then the caution happens. The race ended under caution. We were setting up for a huge finish where Scott Dixon would try to pass him again. Didn't get it. So Scott Dixon has #unfinished business. So keep an eye on that. Ed Carpenter is the hometown guy. He's from Indianapolis, went to Butler. His stepfather ran the track forever, Tony George. And he is one thing I've always wanted to happen in the sports world. One thing I want to see more than really anything else is a Hoosier win the Indy 500. It hasn't happened in 1,000 years. Yeah. It would be the equivalent of Andy Murray winning Wimbledon. This is something I want so badly. And Ed Carpenter has to be the guy. He's starting fourth, so he finished second in 2018. He came close, but we want that to happen.
So we're rooting for Ed.
We're rooting for Ed Carpenter. Also, there's a Bitcoin car starting number 3, so be ready for that. If one way or the other, if it crashes and burns, Well, I mean, Bitcoin is so volatile. Like, I don't know. I'm going to put a lot of...
Is it car made?
No, it's sponsored by Bitcoin.
Like a kind of Bitcoin? Or
No, it's
Bitcoin
like sponsored. It just says like Bitcoin on the car. It's like the Bitcoin car.
Okay.
But I'm saying, like, if it wrecks, I'd sell all your Bitcoin. If like that, if that guy starts third and he just like his engine blows. If that guy loses,
I am selling every GameStop stock I own.
Yes, please do. And then lastly, the guy who won it last year, Takuma Sato, has won twice, and he's the defending champion. He's not. I think he's like starting in the middle of the pack, but this guy has raced like 10 times, 11 times. I forget how many. Every single race he's ever been in Charlotte, he has either improved on his starting position, so he like starts 10th and finishes 8th, whatever it is, or he has crashed. And the reason I point that out is that he is a madman. He's the kind of racer that makes racing awesome. He's the equivalent of like, I'm going to win this thing or crash trying. I don't want to say die trying because that's dark. That's a little too on the nose and dark.
Go big or go home. If you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space. Literally every single Indy 500, he has either improved his standing or he's crashed. So he's awesome to watch. So there you go. That's the pitch. Watch the Indy 500. That's all. We will never try a quiet podcast ever again. I'm sorry that I thought of that. I'm sorry I did that. God bless you, Aaron and Shailene. God bless you, Bryson and Brooks. Thank you for anything else, Charlotte? Thank you for the content. No, email us. I don't care what you email us about, but email us. ThePeoplesSportsPodcast@gmail.com. Have a great Memorial Day weekend, everybody. Oh, yeah. Happy Memorial Day, baby. White pants season. Hey pals, thanks for watching the People's Sports Podcast YouTube channel. For more of mine and Mark's very weird rabbit holes, stick around, watch more. You can subscribe, smash that subscribe button. You know you want to. We're going to give you all the weird stuff we possibly can.